I think it's also, to add one more layer to this, important to look at where the education is coming from that you go into, or if you go to a class or a course or something like that. I mean, I do not know what a childbirth class in the hospital is like. We didn't do that, but I've heard of those who have taken it. And even for those planning a hospital birth, many recommend not taking the hospital's childbirth education just because of the lens that it's coming through. And I have a friend just recently who's preparing for a hospital birth, went to whatever education they do there, and she came out not feeling great, in the sense of just, I think what the slant was, or here's all the things that could happen, which get it, understand that. But I believe it'd be, like you're saying, the confidence level and understanding the physiological process of birth. I believe it would be beneficial to explain to someone, especially a first-time birther, everything physiologically that goes on in a birth with no what would happen with no intervention, none at all. And so then you understand what the natural course of it is. And then maybe you can start implementing, if it goes this way, this, if it goes this way, this. But I feel like it almost primes the mind to be expecting any slew of the interventions, because that's the space you're going into. So, for those who are planning a hospital birth and might be listening, or not, and just, looked at a local hospital for education, in my experience, what I've heard, that's not the best place to get your childbirth education.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I do teach childbirth education classes now, and that is 100% the route that I take. I try to avoid talking about any interventions unless it's brought up. It's not a part of what my normal class would look like, just because I feel so strongly that if you know the truth about the process, it really is going to make a difference. Whereas if you go in thinking about like, oh, if I am failure to progress, they're going to do this, and it's I wouldn't say it's important to know those things, but it's helpful to have the knowledge. But I think it's more helpful to really know what our bodies are capable of and what that looks like, instead of what the hospital looks like.
That's great. I really like that.
Yeah,
that you worded that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like also the timing of when you get certain information plays a part. So with us, one of the first things that we did that I remember is watching the DVD Happy Healthy Child. Happy Healthy Child. And just their approach was everything that you're saying, Abby. Like, it's just natural. It's natural. This is what everything's supposed to happen. This is how we've done it for thousands of years. And for me, receiving that education and that information at the very beginning of our process preparing for a birth was so important, and it helped me to create that that perspective and that context that made me feel very confident right off the bat, so that later on, when we did talk about possibilities of things going this way, things going that way, my mind wasn't so fixated on, oh my gosh, stuff could go wrong, because I already had been primed with all this information as to how natural everything was. So I think too, the timing of when certain pieces of information are introduced can have a huge influence over what that person ends up focusing on.
Absolutely, for sure. That's why I love when I have classes with first-time moms and dads too. It's because they don't have to unlearn anything. They don't have, that knowledge in their head already of the negatives. And I don't want to call it a negative, but unfortunately it kind of is. To be able to put that positivity in them right from the get-go, so that is the first thing is I agree. I think the timing plays a huge role in it.
Yeah,
for sure.